Hey Tim, did you disable the waiting room just so like in case people want to join?
Yeah, it should be disabled already.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start. I can only share my screen, but okay. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so welcome everyone to the first SolidWorks workshop. Yeah, let's just get started. So this workshop, we're gonna be going over the sketch entities, the sketch tools, sketch relations, smart dimensions, equations, extrude, revolved, swept, lofted, and boundary, which is like kind of like the feature section, fillet and chamfer, the linear and circular patterns, materials, and mass properties. So this is um, kind of like a beginner's workshop. So if you guys haven't used it before, this is like where you want to start. And for people who are more experienced, you guys can use this as like a review session. And yeah, so you guys will learn the basics of sketching, features, and evaluate. If so, for the more experienced users, like if you guys already know how to use SolidWorks, Jovan's going to give you guys some more information about the mechanical team. If you guys like don't really want to kind of review, he'll give you like uh, kind of the rundown of what the mechanical team does and what we've done so far. And the end goal for all you guys is to have enough experience to take the CSWA if you want to. So that's kind of our end goal at the end of the 4 SolidWorks workshop sessions. And it's good to put on your resume if you do take the CSWA, and that kind of opens up a lot of doors for you. You guys can take the next section, which is like the CSW. I think it's P, professional. No.
I think it is P.
Okay. Yeah. And if you guys need any help or have any questions for any subjects, join our Discord server. We have an ASME Discord server, and we have all our board members there. And you guys could feel free to contact any of us. But I'll try to put the Discord link right now, so you guys could join it if you guys haven't already. Yeah, so if you guys like need any help with any classes, or you guys have any questions about SolidWorks especially, feel free to contact us. Okay, yeah, there we go. Thank you, Iron. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is, okay, so let's see. If you guys are following along, I want you guys to open up SolidWorks right now. And I'll wait for a couple seconds. Let me know if you guys are have opened it. Okay, so once you open up SolidWorks, you're gonna see this blank canvas pretty much. And if you go to File and you click on New, you're gonna be greeted with 3 sections basically. You have your part, your assembly, and your drawing. So all of these are important, but first we're gonna be focusing on the part. And so basically, you can create different parts and then put them together on an assembly. And for the drawing, it's basically for manufacturing. So if you kind of want to manufacture a piece, you create a drawing of that part, and then the manufacturer is able to see that and see how long to make a certain piece or how to make a certain size radius of a hole or something. Oh, my bad. Actually, sorry, I went a little too quick. So is anyone interested in going into the breakout rooms? Yeah, if not, that's fine. I'll just keep on going.
Like if anybody's in experience with SolidWorks, we could go ahead and like talk about the ME stuff already. If not, then this is a perfect workshop for you.
Yeah, and if not, we could just go over that later if we have time. Okay. Okay, so you're greeted with this. So first, if you want to create a sketch, you have to create it on a plane. So first we have on the left side on this column, we have the front plane, the top plane, and the right plane. So essentially when you create a drawing, this is where you want to start. So let's say, for example, I want to start on the front plane and I want to sketch on it. So I'm going to click on the front plane. So notice how it's highlighted. And then I'm going to click on sketch. And what that's going to do is bring the front plane normal to your view. And this is where you can begin sketching. So after this, we have a lot of tools that you can use to sketch. So we have a line, a circle, spline, rectangle, an arc, ellipse, slot, polygon, and fillet. So these are kind of like the tools you're going to use to draw your stuff. So for example, let's say I want to create a square. So I'm just going to go to corner rectangle. And usually I want to start at the origin. So you guys see how on the right side of the pencil, there's like a shapes, and that's going to tell you what your relation is. So right there, that means it's coincident to the origin, which just means that it's connected. And right here, it means it's horizontal. And right here, it's going to mean it's vertical. So I'm going to click and drag to create this rectangle. And now that I've created this rectangle, I don't know, the dimensions haven't been set pretty much. And I want to set like, let's just say I want the width to be a certain length, or I want the height to be a certain length. So this is where smart dimension comes in. And basically what this does is you're going to tell that whatever sketch you've clicked, you're going to tell it how long it's going to be, or basically what the magnitude is of that line, or whatever piece that is you click. So I'm going to click on this and notice how it says 4.39. So right now it's at that length, and I want to set it to, let's say, 2 inches. So I'm going to make that 2. And now it's stuck. It's pretty much set at 2 inches. I can't make it any bigger or smaller. It's pretty much set. And okay. And I want to set this length to be like 2 as well, for example. So notice how it's black. So these black lines means that it's fully constrained. It's fully related, which means that you can't move it at all. So for example, I'm gonna create another rectangle. So notice how that's blue. It means it's not, there's no relation to anything. So it means you can move it. And this is kind of like a good way to see what's not constrained and what's what is. So for example, if I just set one side to 2, you're gonna see that this is still blue just because I set the length, but I didn't set, the corners aren't set at a place, if that makes sense. So I can still move this shape around as I want.
Oh wait, you can't move a fully defined shape?
No, if it's black, you can't move it at all.
Never knew that. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through all the different sketches. So let's see, we started with the rectangle. So we can do line. So line is pretty much, you just create a line, pretty much any direction you want. And you can set the length of each side, and you can also set the angle. So in order to set the angle, you have to click on 2 different lines. So if I want to set the angle between this and this, I'm going to click on that and click on that. That's going to give me my angle. So let's say I want to make that 60 and there. Set this length to like 3, for example. So there's that. And also when you drag your cursor, notice how there's green if you go to the left and it's blue if you go to the right. So if you go to the blue side, it's gonna click on whatever it's over. For example, if I just wanna click this, I'll hover over it with the blue side. But if I do with the green, it's supposed to click on the whole chain pretty much. So yeah, but that's not really useful, but okay. So there's spline. What I like to do is create a style spline, and it basically gives you a constructed line as well, so you can set the angles pretty much. So if you want to create a spline with a angle of like, let's say 70 degrees, you can do that as well. Okay, and then tangent arc, it basically creates a, center point arc. So you start with this center, and then you go out to whatever radius you want it to, and then you click, so it creates an arc. But let's say I want to create an arc on the other side. So you see how that kind of switches? So if I want an arc on this side and it looks like this, I can go here and back, if that makes sense. So if I want to switch it, I'm gonna go back. So it kind of switches it. So does anyone have any questions so far, or is it pretty good? Okay. Straight slot. So this basically creates a slot. It's basically a circle with a length in the middle. And you can set the length and you can set the radius of the slot. Okay, and then polygon. So basically what this does is it creates a polygon, and you can set how many sides you want pretty much. So if I want like a triangle, I can put 3 sides. And it'll give me 3 sides. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Okay, so trim, what that does is it basically deletes whatever you hover over. So I'm going to, let's say I want to trim this side. All right, let me give you a better example. Let's say I have this shape and I don't want the line in the middle. I can just trim this line here. So I can just hover over it and it'll delete it. Yeah, and then offset entities. So what that does is it kind of offsets that shape, however distance you want it to be. So for example, if I want to offset this by 0.5 inches, it'll do that for me. And you can reverse the direction, and you can also select the chain or just select the line. So if I have select chain on right here, it basically, whatever sketch that it's touching will select that whole chain. So let's say if I just want a line, I'm going to deselect that and then it'll just do the line. Yeah. Okay. And then mirror entities. So what that does is it's in the name. So it mirrors a part. So let's just say that I want to mirror this circle right here. So you're going to set pretty much a line where you want it to mirror. And then I'm going to click on mirror entities. I'm going to click on the circle. So this right here says entities to mirror. So I want this to mirror, and I'm going to mirror it about this line. And then you'll get the same image mirrored. Okay.
Wait, can you repeat that?
Yeah. Okay. So for mirror entities, it basically mirrors whatever shape you want it to mirror. So basically, if I have, let's just say I want this rectangle to be mirrored, right? And you're gonna have to create pretty much a sketch or a line of where you want that to mirror. Because if you don't have that, you can't just, you can't mirror it because you don't have any relations to set it to. So let's see. So I have my line clicked here, my rectangle or square. And then see how it says mirror about? So I want to click, you want to click whatever line that you want it to mirror about. So you can click this line, for example, you click this line or this line, and then it'll mirror it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. And then linear sketch. So what this does is it kind of, if you want to create multiple like patterns of a shape, this is where you would do it. So first, let's say I want to linear pattern this circle, for example. So under entities to pattern, you're going to click whatever you want to pattern. So I want to pattern this circle, for example. And if you go up here where it says direction 1, and this is about the x-axis. So pretty much what this means is that this means the distance from each instance, and this is how many you want. So let's just say I want 4 circles at like 2 inches apart. You're gonna get something like this. Or let's just say I want it 7 inches apart. You get something like that. Does that kind of make sense? So from here, from the center of the circle to this center is 7 inches. and it's multiplied by 4. So you'll get 4 of these. And you can do the same thing for the y-axis. So let's see. I'm gonna keep the distance the same, 7 inches. And basically what that does is it creates another row. Yeah, so if I just, let's say if I just want the y-axis. So I'm just gonna change this to 1. And now that's just gonna give me the y-axis. Is everyone good on that? Okay. Sorry, I can't really see the chat. Sorry, I'm gonna check right now.
There's no new chats, Tim. I think everyone's good.
Okay. And then circular sketch. Okay, so this one has like the same kind of, it's pretty much almost the same as linear. So right here, okay, so I'm gonna click on what I want to pattern. So let's just say this circle, for example. And this is your point of rotation. So if I want to kind of, let's say I want to rotate about this point right here, I'm going to click that. And so this is how many shapes you want. So if I want 3, I'm going to put 3. And if I want 5, I'm going to put 5. And the reason why it's equally spacing is because it's checked right here. So it kind of automatically calculates equal spacing for you. But if you don't want that, then you could just turn that off and you can adjust the distance from each shape pretty much. So if I want it like, let's say 5 inches, I can do that. Oh, that's not right. This is the distance. Let's see. Okay, well, we'll go over that later. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the sketch. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. So we're gonna move on to features. So, okay, we're gonna create a shape. Let's just make it a simple square. I'm gonna give it 2 by 2. And you're gonna exit sketch. And then you're gonna go to features. So there's 5 main different features. So we're gonna start on extrude. So what extrude does is that it kind of extends that shape into like into a material. So let's say I want to extrude it, right? So blind is where you kind of give it your own distance. So if I wanted to make it 2 inches, I can make it extrude 2 inches. And you have all these other different options. So I'm gonna go over these later, but pretty much it's up to surface just means if you click on a surface, that shape is gonna go up to that surface, for example. And then we have direction 2. So if you want to add a separate direction on the other side, you can do that as well. So I can make this 2 as well. I don't really go over the thin feature too much. I don't really use this. Sketch contours. So if you have like multiple shapes, you can select what shape you want to extrude, for example. Yeah. Okay. And now that I have that, let's see. let's see. Okay, revolved. So, okay. I'm gonna suppress this. Okay, so revolved. Okay, I'll show you guys how to revolve right now. So I'm gonna go on the right plane and pretty much sketch a random shape, like a random rectangle. Let's see, there we go. Okay, and I'm gonna create a point of revolution, which is this line here. Exit sketch, and then I'm gonna go to revolve boss and base. So this is the axis of revolution. So pretty much it's where you want it to revolve. And for the selected contours, I want to click this, this rectangle. So what that does is it's gonna extrude around this axis, pretty much. Yeah, does that kind of make sense for everyone? Okay. So there's that. Let's see, swept. Here, I'll show you guys swept right now. I'm gonna create a shape here. And let's see. I'm gonna create my guideline. And okay, so basically what this whole feature does is that if you have a shape, for example, like this, you can actually sweep it across a guided line. So what that's gonna look like is, so this is my shape here, and then this is my line. And what that does is it's gonna follow the guided line up until however long you want that guided line to be. Yeah, I personally don't use this very often, so you guys don't really have to worry about this too much. Okay, so lofted here. Okay, so
I have a question.
oh yeah.
How did you hide everything you did before? Is it just
For the sweep?
yeah? How'd you hide everything? You hid boss. You hid remove.
Oh, okay. So what I did was I right-clicked on my feature, and then there's this option where you can suppress it. So basically that just means that it's kind of like, you tell SolidWorks to kind of hide it, so it's not really there. It's kind of different from hiding. So suppressing is like you actually take the whole feature away, but it's still there in case you want to unsuppress it, if that makes sense.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So I want you guys just to watch. You guys learn this later on the other workshop, how to create a different plane. So let's see if I have a circle here. And I'm gonna sketch on this plane as a square. Okay, so we have lofted, which pretty much means that between two shapes, you can create a solid material. So for example, I want to loft these two shapes, right? So I'm gonna go to lofted boss/base and click on my profiles. So I have this clicked already, and I want to loft it to this shape. And what that does is it's gonna create a whole solid feature in between those two shapes. And if you guys can see the green line, this is kind of like where it's going to kind of like where you want it to connect. So for example, you can actually move this green line around and then it'll actually twist it, for example. And yeah, that's pretty much it for lofts.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because for my graph, like after I draw a circle, like I go to filter and the loft, like the selection is gray, so I can select the loft part. So did I do anything wrong?
Well, for loft, it's because you needed two different shapes on two different planes.
Two different shapes on this. Oh, I see.
Yeah, and so in order to do that, you guys need to create a different plane, and we're gonna teach you guys that on a later workshop. Yeah, so I just wanted you guys to watch for this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's that. And then we have a whole type of different cuts. So for example, I'll just go through the extruded cut for now. And what that does is it basically, instead of extruding, instead of adding material, you're gonna take away material. Yeah, so it's gonna take away that material that's highlighted, and you can set the length of that extrude cut, or you can do through all or through all both or any of the other options. So what through all means is that it's gonna go through every single, the whole length of the model pretty much. It's gonna go through everything. So if I click on that, it's gonna go through the whole model. And there's a square cut. Okay, and let's see. I'll go through fillet and chamfer right now. So fillet, what fillet does is it basically rounds an edge. So if you click on any edge, for example, like let's say I want to fillet this edge. So that's gonna round that edge, and you can actually determine the radius of that fillet. So if I want a bigger fillet, I can change it to 0.2, for example. Yeah, so what fillet does is it just rounds an edge. And then if you go under fillet, under chamfer, so what chamfer does is that it cuts the edge 45 degrees or however degrees you want it to be. So if I click on, let's say this edge, for example, it's actually gonna cut it. And you can set the length of the chamfer, and you can set the angle as well. So there's that. And yeah, so linear pattern, circular pattern, mirror. It's pretty much the same thing as a sketch, except that you can do it with full models, full features. We don't really have to go over this. This is, we don't really use this anyways. Okay. So if we go over to evaluate, you can actually determine like the mass of a part and the center of mass and all these different things. But before we do that, we want to set a material for it because right now it's just a model. So on the left side, if you guys can see this, where it says material, I can specify what material I want it to be. So let's just say I want it to be like 1023 carbon steel. I can set it to that. And now the model is currently considered 1023 carbon steel sheet. And whatever part you make, we can look at the mass properties, for example. So you can actually determine the density, the mass, the volume, the surface area, center of mass, etc. So this tool is very useful in case you want to create your own part, or if you want to see a current part that you have right now and you want to see the details of that. Yeah. And then measure. So what measure does is, like, if you want to get a measurement of a length, you can do that. So let's just say I want to see what the length is from this edge to this edge. So I'm going to click on this edge and click on this edge, and it's going to tell me what the distance is. Yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to go over today. I do have examples I can go with you guys, but does anyone have any questions so far? Or did I kind of go too fast, or was it okay? It's pretty good. Okay. All right. So the biggest part. So we're gonna go through this together. So, all right, first example. So we want to create this piece, and we're given this drawing pretty much. So let's see. So the units, it's in IPS. So down here on the bottom right, you can actually set the different measurements. So for example, if it says it wants millimeters, grams, seconds, you have to change that. Otherwise, if you don't change it, it's always going to be in your default, which is usually IPS, and your part's going to be totally wrong. So yeah. So let's see, IPS. Okay, so we're already in IPS. And I'm going to go on my top plane, and I'm going to go to my sketch. So let's see, where do you start? So I see this outer radius or diameter of the circle here, and that's set at 70. So I'm going to make that 70. Okay, I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, and then we see two circles here. So the first one on the inside set at 20. At 20. And then the second one is set at 28. So I'm going to make this one 28. Let's see what else. Okay, so this dotted circle, let's see. This is set at 52. So let's do that. And you guys notice how it's kind of dotted instead of a regular solid line? So what that means is that it's considered construction geometry. And the way you can do that is if you right click on that certain part, and it'll be on the right side right here, construction geometry. And what that basically means is that it's kind of like a guideline. It's not actually considered an actual sketch. So whatever is a construction geometry, that's going to be like a guideline to help you relate some of your shapes and stuff like that. So there's that. And then we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 circles. So let's make those 8. So I'm gonna start on the top. Yeah. What's up, Peter?
I have a question. Like, how do you make the second square like in the middle of the bigger square? Because mine like it's like kind of towards the right side, so it's not in the middle. The smaller circle is now in the middle of the bigger circle. So it's weird.
Are you talking about this piece right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially, so you created the 2 circles, right?
Yeah.
And what you want to do now is you want to smart dimension it. All right, so right here next to exit sketch is going to be your smart dimension. So you're actually going to set the length or the diameter of each circle at 20 and 28. So that's how you're going to get this kind of inner circle right here.
Okay.
Yeah, does that make sense? I think you're missing the smart dimension.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. Maybe the iron says that I didn't log into the origin.
Oh yeah, usually it's just personal preference, but you do want, in this case, I want you guys to start on the origin. Yeah, because if you don't, then the center of your circles are gonna be placed everywhere pretty much, and it's not gonna be locked in one place.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So let's see. So the radius of each circle is gonna be, it says 5. And we're assuming that they're all the same, so we're gonna do 5 inches. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create my circular pattern. So I want it to rotate about this axis. And I want this entity to pattern. And I want 8 of these. So I'm gonna click on 8.
52.
All right. So now I have 8 circles. Oh, actually I messed up. So the radius is 5, but this is in diameter. So this is actually 10. Yeah. Okay. And we kind of see here that there's lines here. So we're gonna create that right now, show you guys. So I'm gonna create a line here and here. And what you can do is that you can set relations between each part. So for example, if I click on this line and shift and then click on this circle, it's gonna give me the ability to add relations. So for example, if I want this line to be tangent to the circle here, I can click on tangent. And there, it's already tangent, existing relations. And I can click on this line and add another relation. So if I want it to be perfectly vertical, I can click on vertical and it's gonna make it perfectly vertical. Yeah, and I'm gonna do this side. I'm actually gonna click on the outside edge here, and it's already showing me that it's coincident to this edge. So I'm gonna click on that, and notice how it kind of snaps vertically. And you can see when it snaps that it already has its relation on the right side. So you notice how it says it's vertical and it's tangent. So I'm going to keep it on this line. I'm going to go up to this line and there. Both of these lines are exactly the same, but they're made in two different ways. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to circular pattern these lines onto the other three sides. So I'm going to click on these two lines around this point. And there, should give me all these lines. And then next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the lines that are in the middle. So I'm going to trim these out so that I get this perfect U. And I'm going to do it on all sides. And yeah, I think that's the whole shape, right? Does everyone get it so far? Okay. Oops. So the next step is to kind of look at the extrusion. All right, so we have the extrusion on the bottom here. So what I'm gonna do next is extrude it. So I'm gonna exit sketch. I'm gonna go to extrude base, and I'm gonna extrude it. So first, I'm going to delete this sketch so I can click on whatever surface that I want. So let's see. So I want to extrude this piece right here, if you guys can see that shape. This inner circle here. So let's see. It says it's 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 8 inches on both sides. So I'm going to create 8 here and create 8 here. And you guys should be able to get this. So it's 16 in length. So I want to create the middle circle now. Let's see, it's 32. So I can actually, instead of creating another sketch, I can actually refer back to the old sketch. So I'm gonna click on this, I'm gonna open up this extrude and click on the same sketch, right? And that's gonna allow me to actually extrude the same sketch without creating a new one. So let's do it here. So selected contours, I just want the inner circle here. And I'm gonna make it 16 for both. And you should be able to get this shape. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Did anyone have any trouble following?
I think I lost halfway though.
Okay, that's fine.
Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, hey, Noam, how's it going?
Sorry I'm late. I was studying a little late and my body said you need sleep today.
Yeah, that's fine.
How was the Arduino workshop?
I was really good. We learned a lot about how to code like different LED lights.
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Okay.
You know,
What's up, Joseph, too?
All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next sketch. Or, is this kind of too easy for you guys? Just a quick question. Okay, I'll just move on. Okay, so I'm gonna create this new part and walk it through with you guys. So notice how it says the units are in millimeters, grams, seconds. So first things, I want to change my units to that, because otherwise it's going to be in inches, pounds, seconds, and you don't really want that. So, okay. So there's a lot going on here, but I'll walk it through with you guys step by step. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to create this part right here at the very end. Yeah, so let's see. I'm going to create it on the right plane. I'm going to go to Sketch. And let's see. So there's a semicircle. So I see a semicircle and a square. So I'm going to create that. So let's see. First, I'm going to create the square. And then I'm going to create a tangent arc from this point to this point. And I'm going to change this line to a construction geometry because there's a circle here that's actually concentric to this arc. And what concentric basically means is that where if you have two circles, the center is kind of overlapping. They're on the same point. So I'm going to create a circle here. And the next thing I'm going to do is smart dimension everything. So let's see. This length from here to here is 30. So I'm going to make that 30. The inner, let's see, the inner, so it says right here, 5 holes, 16 diameter. So there's 5 holes in this drawing, and their diameter is 16 inches or 16 millimeters. So I'm going to create that 16. Let's see. So from the center, so basically from this half of the shape, it's 24. So we know that they're pretty much equal. So you can actually just do 24 times 2. And it'll do that for you. And now that we have this shape, we can go ahead and extrude it. So let's see. This button here reverses the direction. So you can actually change the direction of your extrusion. So I want it to go this way. And let's see, the depth of that is 9. So I'm going to make it 9 millimeters. Okay, and let's see. Okay. All right, this is where it gets a little tricky because after this, we basically want to start connecting this piece to the rest. So what you can actually do is you can click on any flat surface and start sketching on that. So for example, I'm going to click on this face and I can go ahead and just start sketching on that. So what that's going to do is it's going to start, this face right here is going to act like a plane, and I can go ahead and just start sketching on that. Okay, so let's see. This one's a little tricky. Okay, so actually I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to start from the top plane. So you can right click any plane and you can click normal to, or you can click your spacebar and you can change the orientation of your model. So I'm going to normal to the top plane and start sketching. So let's see. I'm just gonna create some lines here. Rectangle here and a tangent arc here. And it's pretty much the same thing as the one we did before. So I'm going to smart dimension everything. So let's see. So it says here from the center of this circle up to this distance here is 45. So how do we do that? So what we can do is I can actually make a center line from here to here. All right, so this is like my guideline now. And if you hover over it, you can see where the midpoint is. Right, so from the midpoint, basically from here to here, that's 45. So I'm gonna hover over this, click on the midpoint, and click on this end. I'm gonna drag it out this way, and that's gonna make it 45. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. Okay, so we know that the diameter is 16. So I'm gonna make that 16. And the distance from here to here is 36. So we're gonna make that 36. And drag it out this way a little bit. Okay. Okay, so from the center of this point to this end, that's also 36. So I'm gonna do that as well. Okay. And let's see. Okay, so if you guys can see this, it says the distance from this circle to this circle is 90. So what I'm gonna do is I basically want to mirror everything because it's essentially the same shape. So I'm gonna create a midline here. This is my midpoint. And I'm gonna set the distance from here, from the center of the circle to this line. Oh, it's already 45. Okay, that's good. So what happened there was it's something called it's an over constraint. So basically you added too many smart dimensions and there's too many set lengths. And what that basically does is like, it kind of breaks SolidWorks. So you don't want that to happen pretty much. So since this is already 45, it knows that it's 45. So if I set this, it's gonna pretty much break it. So I don't want that to happen. So let's see. Okay. I'm going to create a random arbitrary line here and trim the entities. And I'll set this as my construction geometry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mirror everything. So what I want to mirror here, here, all this. I'm going to mirror about this line here. So usually these tools are kind of like really helpful because it kind of cuts your time in half. I used to do everything by hand. Like, even if it's like super easy to mirror, I would just do everything. Yeah, you don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna mirror everything there, and I'm gonna trim all these lines so that it's a perfect shape. Okay, and then now I'm gonna extrude it. I'm gonna select my contour. Okay. Okay, so the reason why you couldn't select the contour is because the shape is not closed. So if you guys see this line here, I didn't add the second line here, and that shape is considered to be open, and you can't really do anything with that. So you have to close it. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it. And now I should be able to extrude it. There we go. So let's see, I want this. And I'm gonna extrude it 6 millimeters. Okay. Okay, so next I'm gonna start on this piece here. So I'm gonna make the whole thing solid. So let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna sketch on this plane, on the surface, because I'm looking at this relation here. So basically the center of the circle to this circle is 54 millimeters. So I'm gonna create a center line from here to here and smart dimension it as 54. So now I have the set length of that. I can go ahead and start here. I'm gonna click on this, this surface here, start sketching it. And notice how it's grayed out. So I have this here as a reference. So I can actually create another center line here and make this part coincident so that it's touching. Okay. And then we can see here that the distance from the bottom of the plate to the center of the circle is 30. So we're gonna do that. Bottom of the circle to this. So that's gonna be 30. Okay. And we're gonna create the whole shape as well. Create a tangent arc, actually. Create this, and then this. So what I can do here is I can make this arc and this circle have the same point, basically. I'm gonna make it concentric. And let's see. Huh. Okay, this is 36. There we go. And okay. So I'm gonna make it cross the whole, I'm gonna make this line and this line collinear so that it kind of, when you extrude it, it's completely aligned. So I'm gonna extrude this point here. And let's see, we can do 9 plus 9 plus 30. So that's going to give me that length here. And what we can do here is we can actually extrude cut this middle piece. So I'm going to go to normal to this plane here, sketch, create a rectangle, and notice how the diameter is 30. Make that 30. And from, let's see, from here to here, that's going to be 9. And let's see, I'm going to make this point collinear to that point so that it doesn't cut off the whole entire bottom piece. So then I'm going to extrude cut it. And there we go. And then all we're missing now is the fillets. So where it says R9, that's basically a fillet. So I'm going to add that under fillet. So I'm going to click on all the edges. Here, here, and right here. So it says 9, so we'll make that 9. And yeah, there we go. I know that it may be kind of hard to follow if you guys are having trouble. I know it comes with a lot of practice as well. So if you guys did add me on Discord, you guys can ask me for any help. I'm willing to like really help you guys out. And yeah. Does anyone have any questions so far?
I'm already halfway lost, to be honest.
Okay. Okay, you know, we can do something like, if you could share your screen, I could see what's wrong with it, and then maybe we'll troubleshoot it together.
No, I think that's fine. I can just reverse the recording because like easier, because I won't be asking too many questions. Like it will like slow down the process of the workshop as well.
Okay.
If you want, I could do a one-on-one with you in a breakout room individually. That way you don't feel like you're slowing down the whole entire process and you still get help.
I mean,
If not, that's fine.
That's fine. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, sure.
All right, that's cool.
Okay. I was kind of planning out a third example, but I want to kind of see how you guys do. So okay, you know, I'm changing my mind actually, because unless you guys want extra practice, I would recommend you guys try this part out. And if you guys are having trouble, you can ask me for help, because I know it's best to actually do it by yourself and have someone there to guide you. Yeah. Nahom, have you kind of used SolidWorks before? Or is this like entirely new to you? Okay, never mind. Okay, yeah, I don't want to keep the workshops too long today. So yeah, if you have any questions so far, let me know. And please let me know how I'm doing on the workshop, because I had it planned out and everything, but I'm just a little shy, that's all. So just let me know how I'm doing. And if you feel like if you're stuck on a part, you know, just let me know. And yeah, I think that should be it for today. Next week, we'll be going over assemblies and how to put them together. And we'll probably do some more parts next week. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, that's it for today.
Wait, Tim, it's a record.
Yeah.
It's a recording like at the YouTube website, right?
Yeah, we're gonna post it on YouTube.
All right.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
gonna stop recording.